Humanity stands at a crossroads. Two forces collide, one ancient, one new. Humanity's bond with nature and the allure of a technological future. At this crossroads, the hybrid world emerges. Are we still human when intertwined with machines? Will the roots of the earth anchor us, or will technology pull us into an unknown future? In the face of such transformation, what will remain of us? Will we embrace the chaos of our passions or the precision of our creations? Or will we simply fade away, lost in the clash between the organic and the artificial? The answers, perhaps, are yet to be found. Every unique journey begins with a choice, a path less traveled. Driven by the hunger for what we lost, humanity seeks to reclaim the divine. And at the precipice of technological singularity, we seek transcendence, to break free from the limits of our nature. But is this evolution or the endless cycle of our fall? And what now? Dance macabre, a dance that never ends. But the judgment hour is past. The hour of death, once so feared, has lost its meaning. The cycle is complete. What was once mortal now moves endlessly. Are we truly alive or merely existing, trapped in a waltz with no end? Now we stand at the edge of the abyss, gazing into eternity, and all we feel is emptiness. With sorrow we remember the fountains of John Dowland now gone, the brief, peaceful life, the sun that never shone for us, yet we cherished it. And then there are the times of absurdity and nihilism, the hunt for the impossible, which we, through immortality, have finally grasped. For every joy there is a sorrow, for every gain there is a loss. And now we ask, was it worth it? Or has this eternal existence simply become a prison of our own making? In the quest for eternal life, they sold their greedy souls. The Mary Shelley Clinic, a modern temple to the pursuit of immortality, offers its promise to live forever. But at what cost? Jellyfish Man, one of the few, the relentless, the soulless victor who now revels in his greatness. An immortal machine with the head of a man, he becomes something else. Something that looks like life, but resembles a hollow imitation, eaten away by loneliness. The highest price of their greed, the inevitable solitude and emptiness that no longer stems from the desire for eternal life, but from a higher justice. A justice that punishes the decadence of immortality, now a privilege of the wealthy few. Unlimited intellect and endless life, our greatest achievements. But are we the architects of our own reality, or mere puppets in someone else's design? In this dream world, the lines between illusion and truth blur. We live in a fog, unaware that the lives we lead may not even be our own, and that women, just as men, unconsciously play pre-assigned roles. We must ask, if we are part of a simulation, who is responsible for its creation? And if there is a grand simulator, where does it fit within the hierarchy of real beings? The Cave of Dreams, a sanctuary from the mundane world, a path that leads us toward a realm of idealized visions, a collective escape into fleeting comfort. What if everything we know is nothing more than a shadow on the wall, nothing more than a fairy tale? In Plato's cave of our dreams, we are bound by our own limitations, unable to see the truth that lies beyond. Yet we are not alone in the cave. A silent watcher gazes upon us, observing our every move. But who is the true observer, he or the one who watches us from afar? The modern world grows increasingly complicated and uncertain, and it seems we have less patience for each other every day. We've barely adjusted to the pride parade, yet still find it easier to reject than to accept. Hatred and judgment are closer to us than love and acceptance. purity of race, purity of gender, purity of purity. This absurdity must stop. More than two, more than any single person, more than any single identity, now define who we are. A new era is dawning. Many of us will become the other, a symbol of fragility but also of potential, something uncertain and vulnerable, yet determined to endure in its revolutionary fight for acceptance. We face the trial of difference. On one side, they are condemned by the traditionalists, surprised and forever fearful of the new, passive and harmless people who mind their own business. And then there are modern inquisitors whose rationality is armed with prejudice and fanaticism, threatening to destroy all that it cannot comprehend. And the question remains, will we learn to embrace our differences, or will we remain divided? And as the planet watches in quiet indifference, our inevitable encounter with superintelligence unfolds, along with the triumph of eternal life, followed by doubt and self-reflection, and the judgment of the privileged, consumed by their own greed. We cannot help but ask ourselves, are we merely puppets in a grand performance, playing out roles assigned to us long before we were aware of them? And if so, who is the grand puppeteer? Is the reality we inhabit nothing more than a beautifully woven fairy tale? In the great planetary struggle already underway, will the mythical unicorn of individuality and uniqueness prevail, or will the rigid structures of societal norms tighten their grip? And is the era before us an age of posthuman harmony, or a modern inquisition, a repetition of the medieval darkness? But before we attempt to answer these questions, we must take a stand on the four defining concepts of the modern age. The question of identity. We all search for meaning, for that elusive sense of who we truly are. We begin with defiance, mocking God, rejecting everything we once believed, challenging the heavens themselves. But in this defiance, we sow the seeds of destruction, and with each defiant step, we lose more of ourselves. Samael watches from afar, his gaze a mixture of wrath, helplessness, and sorrow. In humanity's abandonment of its roots, it has lost its way. Yet in this moment, we must ask, are we truly free, or are we simply adrift, wandering in the chaos we have created for ourselves? And in the end, stripped of divinity, we stand before ourselves, confronting the vast unknown of our own existence. Can we find our way back, or are we forever lost in the endless search for meaning? The question of consciousness. What does it mean to be truly alive, to feel, to experience? As we dive deeper into the world of artificial beings, we ask, is love real, or is it merely a reflection of what we have created? The android's gaze is filled with longing, but can it truly know love? Or is it simply imitating a human feeling trapped in an endless loop of desire? We then shift to the conflict, freedom versus judgment. In a world where consciousness is shaped by external forces, the android's struggle mirrors our own. Can we ever truly be free, or are we forever bound by the expectations of others? And can love transcend the limits of biology and social norms? And in the dream, the boundaries collapse. The android is no longer a machine, but a sentient being, questioning, why am I different from you? Perhaps in the end, we are all just searching for a sense of belonging in a world that constantly challenges our perception of reality. The question of transience. We begin with the age of innocence, when the world is still filled with wonder, and the future seems endless. Yet even in this childlike state, time is fleeting. The immortal child now faces the truth. Time is not infinite, and the world we once knew will soon slip away. Next, we transition into the age of strength, when youth stands unshaken, and the promise of life feels eternal. But beneath the surface, the cracks of mortality slowly begin to show. What once seemed invincible is now uncertain. In the pursuit of strength, we fail to acknowledge the fragile nature of our existence, and in the end, we are left with the only certainty: anxiety. Despite achieving immortality, the fear remains, not of death, but of the fragility of what we've gained. What is life when it is reduced to an endless struggle to maintain an immortal state? Can we ever be free from the constant worry that our eternity may one day end, or maybe the Gilgamesh in us is stronger than anything? Finally, the question of transience. Begin in harmony, a time when all things existed in balance, a world where nature and life were intertwined in perfect unity. The delicate threads of life flowed together in pure synchronization, untainted by the forces of destruction. Our planet was a singular living organism thriving in its natural state. But as humanity rose, the arrogance of progress began to shape the world in our own image. We reshaped what was once whole, and in doing so, we shattered the fragile balance that had existed for eons. The consequences of our actions rippled through time, and the cost of our dominion became evident. Progress demands a sacrifice, and in the end, we are left with the echoes of our mistakes, the silence of a world forever changed. What will we leave behind, and what will remain after we are gone? Our legacy is not one of greatness, but a warning, a reminder of what happens when we forget the price of immortality. Can humanity return to a state of balance, or is the posthuman ascent the final path to total decadence and the end of human civilization? The question of legacy is not just what we leave behind, but how we preserve it for future generations. Can we secure a future of harmony, or are we destined to repeat the mistakes of the past?